Welcome back to the Body Composition Coach podcast, and today's subject is one that is very, very relevant to the current times. I mean, I say very relevant because, just for some context here, in filming this podcast right now, it is something like 36 degrees outside here in Bristol in the UK. But by the time you're listening to this, it's probably raining, it's probably really miserable, and probably nothing like what's going on. So, in the context of things, this is probably going to be completely irrelevant to you anyway, in terms of what I'm going to. Well, it's not, because what I'm going to talk about is useful, but I'm going to moan about how warm it is, but you're probably going to be sat there looking outside, thinking how rubbish the weather is and how you wish it was just as hot as it is today. But anyway, I'm sure this is a distant memory now. So what I want to talk about is actually going somewhere to get some heat and get some nice weather, and that's going on holiday. So it's at the time of filming this, we're in the middle of June, so it is peak holiday time of the year. And what that obviously means for the clients that I work with is a lot of them are going away. And we're working through holiday strategies and that kind of thing. So I wanted to talk about some of those strategies that I use with clients to make sure that they have a successful trip. I say that in kind of quotation marks because that kind of depends on what you see as success. Now, before I'll get into all of that, I'll explain it all. But before I do that, as always, leave me a review, leave me a comment. Are you going on holiday? Are you going to use some of these strategies I'm going to talk about? Maybe you're one of my clients. Maybe you've used some of this stuff already. Maybe I've had this conversation with you. But as always, give me that 5-star review. Let me know what you think of the podcast. It only helps me to get this out there to more people and help more people through the situations that they're in terms of fat loss and muscle growth and achieving the goals that they want. So give it a like, give it a share, give it a review, and then let's get stuck into this. So holidays. Now, what we have to kind of start with is just framing this correctly, because if we just look at the context of the year, even the most extravagant of you probably only go on holiday. Like, I mean, the most extravagant of you. And actually quite a lot of you guys work with me, funnily enough. But the most extravagant of you probably only go away 5 times a year. And that's probably not that many of you. Everyone else, we're probably lucky if we get 1 or 2 holidays a year, maybe 3 at a push, right? So just to put that into context, there are 52 weeks in a year. And if you're one of the most extravagant people and you go away 5 times in a year, that still leaves you 47 weeks of the year versus the 5 weeks you're away. So when you're talking about long-term muscle growth, when you're talking about sustainable fat loss, when you're talking about improving performance and health and longevity and all of those things are really important that I've talked about on the podcast and loads of times, when you're talking about that stuff, the reality is you probably don't need to worry so much about your holidays. What you need to worry about most is the 47 weeks of the year that you're not doing what you're supposed to do or you're not moving forwards, right? I've never known anyone not progress because they've been perfect out for a whole year, but then they had this holiday and it threw them off, right? Doesn't happen like that. But some people just want to understand how they can navigate their holidays a little bit better, and therefore I'm more than happy to talk about that. Now, again, we have to frame it correctly. I've talked about how your holidays aren't going to be the thing that ruin your progress long term, but also you need to go away with expectations aligned with reality. Okay? I get this all the time. I want to go on holiday, but I really don't want to undo all my hard work. Cool. All right, well, you're not to start with. Even if you do nothing, you're not going to undo all your hard work if you've been working hard for 47 weeks of the year. But okay, I'll humor it, right? So I want to go away. I don't want to undo all my hard work. But I'm not training when I'm on holiday. I'm not going to watch what I eat because it's going to be all inclusive. I'm probably not going to do any steps. I'm just going to kind of sit by the pool. So, like, how do I not undo all my progress? Well, look, firstly, you're not going to undo all your progress, but you're probably going to go backwards. Like, if they're your expectations or that's the reality of what you're willing to do, like, you can't expect to then still make progress when you're away, right? Like, you've got to align the expectations with the reality in some way. So I have this conversation with every client before they go on holiday. What do you want from this holiday? What do you want to get out of it? Do you want it to just be, reinforcing the identity you've created, reinforcing the habits and the behaviors that you can still live this lifestyle whilst you're on holiday? Or do you want to just completely switch off from reality in the world and not do anything? There is no right or wrong answer, right? Nobody's judging you for what you decide to do when you're on holiday. But just align that reality with the expectation of whether you're going to move forwards, whether you're going to stay the same, or whether you're going to come back, maybe going backwards a little bit. None of those things are bad. Like if you come back having regressed a little bit, you've got a little bit, you lost a little bit of the training strength that you've gained, which you'll gain back straight away, very, very quickly. You might gain a few pounds of weight. Cool. A little bit of body fat. Cool. You might have got a little bit lazy and a little bit sedentary while you're away. Fine. It's not, there's nothing wrong with that stuff. It's just have the correct expectations. There's nothing worse as a coach, right? And I'll share this because I've had this loads of times over the years. There's nothing worse as a coach when someone goes on holiday. They're like, yeah, no, I want to come back and just hold the line. I want to maintain while I'm away, or maybe even make some progress. And then they're absolutely devastated when they come back because they're like, oh, well, I've eaten like shit. I've not moved. I've not trained. I can't believe I've gained that weight back or gained some weight back. And it's like, well, it's not that much of a surprise, is it? It's not that much of a shock, is it? Based on what you actually did. So it's just aligning those things. I don't care, what you think is right or wrong with a holiday. You do what you want to do. Like that's up to you. But just if you're going to go and have a bit of a blowout, expect to come back a bit heavier. But that's cool. Like I said, there's 47 weeks of the year where you're not going to be on holiday and we can, keep progressing and keep moving forward. So your holiday isn't going to be the be all and end all. And look, I actually am a big believer in, and this is just how I approach it. I am a big believer in complete lifestyle transformation. With any client who's going to work with me, I want them to be still progressing and still moving forwards in 5 years' time, not just for the time that they were working with me. And I do believe a big part of that is rewiring and reprogramming some behaviors and some habits and your identity generally. So if I think about what I would do when I'm on holiday, is I probably would train. I do. It might not be the 5 to 6 days a week that I train here in the UK, but I probably would just get 3 sessions in across the time if it was a week, let's say. Or if it's for 2 weeks, I probably would just get 5 or 6 sessions in across that time. I'd probably get a bit of cardio in just to keep things moving. I probably would try and get lots of steps in because I would just make that part of my day. So it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy my holiday in any way. I absolutely love my holidays. That doesn't actually have a negative impact on my holiday. And I think this is where the identity shift and the behavior shift is really important. If you can become the person who does still move their body on holiday, become the person who does still make some good choices on holiday, like that's how you get and sustain and progress your muscle mass, your body fat, and your physique and your shape long term, is you just live that lifestyle wherever you are in the world and whatever you're doing. Not just like a 9-5 Monday to Friday where I'm gonna be on it with my training and my nutrition while I'm in the UK and working, and when I'm not, it's just full on blowout, anything goes, right? So I do think there is a big element here of, look, over time, if you want to get in shape and stay in shape, you probably do need to, over time, change your behaviors and lean them slightly more towards the person who stays in shape all year round. And though their actions when they're on holiday will probably look a little bit different to somebody who doesn't. Now, let me actually get into some of the practical stuff, because I do think there is some practical stuff I can help you with that was going to help you on your holiday if you've got one coming up in the next kind of 6 to 8 weeks. So I want to just talk about the guilt trap first and foremost, because I think this is probably the biggest thing that impacts your enjoyment of the holiday. So when you're going on holiday, and I'm going to just use, let's say, Spain as an example, right? You're going on holiday to Spain, and you're thinking of, what do you think about, right? Just imagine it. Picture it in your head now. What do you think about when you think about your holiday to Spain? And let me guess. It's probably like the sangria on a beautiful terrace looking over the sea or cityscape, and a lovely meal in the evening, a bit of a walk down by the beach, couple of glasses of wine, bit of sangria, maybe a cocktail, sitting by the pool, the odd cocktail by the pool. Probably that's the sort of thing you're thinking, right? Some nice tapas. So, there's a point to this. I'm not just trying to make you think about being in Spain eating tapas. There is a point to this, and that is what you're not thinking about. And you're not thinking about the bang average breakfast at the hotel. And you're probably not thinking about the hours of 8 a.m. till 9 a.m. in the morning being the most important to you. You're probably not thinking about lunch that much. You're probably not thinking about having a drink at 2 p.m., or maybe you are having a drink at 2 p.m., you're probably thinking about that drink being at like 7 p.m., right? So this is really, really important information because picking your battles is so, so important. And coming away from your holiday, having got from your holiday what you really wanted to get from it, is really important. And if I think about Spain, what I think about is, yeah, a sangria in the evening, a lovely like tapas meal in the evening, lovely walk down by the beach. Like that's what I think about. So what I'm willing to sacrifice and what I'm willing to maybe let go of a little bit is the hotel breakfast. It's always a bit disappointing, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like they always do like a sweet thing, like a waffle or something. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm on holiday. I'm gonna have waffle for breakfast. Then you have it, and you're a bit like, that was the most bang average waffle I've ever eaten in my life, right? And I didn't really need it, but I was on holiday, so it's fine. But this is the thing. So if I'm gonna make any kind of sacrifices or if I'm going to offset anything, it's going to be at the times where I don't really care about it, right? I'm not that fussed about breakfast. I'm not thinking about the hotel breakfast when I go on holiday to Spain. I'm thinking about the other stuff in the evening, right? So then what I'm going to do is think, okay, well, I'm probably not going to just completely blow it at breakfast because what that's going to do is alter your enjoyment of the thing that you actually care about, right? And this is separating the two things. If I have like a 1,500 calorie breakfast with waffles and Nutella and stuff that I don't really want and I didn't really get that much enjoyment from, and to be honest with you, I just didn't really care about it that much, then I'm probably going to get to the evening, the thing that I do care about, the thing that I do really want to enjoy, the thing that I do want to really lean into while I'm away, and I'm probably just going to be a bit like, I've already had all that stuff at breakfast. Do I really want to have like sangria this evening? And then the guilt kicks in, right? And that's the guilt trap. You've almost guilt trapped yourself because you've been like complete free for all. It's a holiday, let go of it all, smash the buffet at breakfast. And then the thing that you actually really emotionally cared about and was going to make a massive difference to your holiday, now you feel guilty for it, right? And nobody should feel guilty on their holiday. But you could very easily avoid that by just really highlighting the things that mean the most to you and the things you really want to enjoy when you're away and going into them completely guilt-free and enjoying them. But the stuff that don't really matter, i.e. the breakfast, like the picky lunch buffet that's always like a bit bang average and a bit dodgy, you know, some of the stuff you can't really tell what it is. Do you know what I mean? Maybe make some better choices there. Maybe make some slightly different choices there so that you can go into the stuff that you really want to enjoy completely guilt-free. And this actually feeds into something else that I use with my clients all the time. And it's called first plate theory. And I suppose it's a theory I made up, but it's not really because it's based on like science. And the science being how your hunger hormones respond, right? So, you know, when you walk into the buffet, and like, do you ever walk past like the desserts first? I do sometimes. You know, when you just I'm going to go have a look what's in there first. And what ends up happening when you go into, because a lot of holidays are buffets, right? What ends up happening is you think with your tummy, right? You think with your belly. You go in and you just load that first plate up with a bit of everything, get stuck in, right? I always encourage people, it's like if you want to just control yourself at the buffet, if you want to have better decision making in those situations, if you don't, cool, don't do it. Right? And I don't want this podcast to turn into Jono telling you to do something on a holiday you don't want to do. Like, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Right? But if you do want to try and just keep things under wraps a little bit, make some better choices, when you get to the buffet, right? First plate, go all in on lean protein and salady veg. Right? Just your first plate. Enjoy that as much as you can. Enjoy that and then have whatever you want. Then go and have whatever you want, right? And I guarantee you will subconsciously make different decisions versus if you just go in and load your plate up first and foremost, right? So let's say we're trying to save the enjoyment stuff for later on in the evening. We want to enjoy that evening meal of tapas. We want to enjoy the sangrias on the beach. So what you're going to do at a buffet is I'm going to have lean protein and veg to kick me off. And then I'm going to have whatever I want. And I guarantee you, whatever you want looks very different to whatever you want if that's your first plate, right? You've suppressed your hunger hormones. You've started to get some food into your system and you're not starving anymore. Like, it will make all the difference to the choices you make because you're not doing it on an empty stomach. You know when like they say don't go shopping when you're hungry, it's kind of the same thing. Don't walk into a buffet absolutely starving, right? So have the salad, have some lean protein, get your protein up, get some veg in there for some substance, then make your decisions. And I guarantee you now, come let me know if you try this, guarantee you now you make some better decisions. So the other thing that I really like to do, and I suppose it kind of crosses a couple of different areas, is get it done early on holiday, right? If you want to keep the habits that you've created, keep the behaviors you've created, develop that stuff while you're away, I would suggest getting things done early doors is really important. Now, that comes from two places, right? We'll still use a sangria in the evening meal um, example. If you treat breakfast, because you don't really care about breakfast that much, that's not a huge part of your holiday. If you treat breakfast as an opportunity to load up on protein and keep calories low, you're getting it done early, right? You're getting your protein in early and you're keeping your calories low early. Like that for me is getting it done early. What that does then is again remove some of the guilt from later in the day to allow you to have the food freedom and flexibility, maybe for some alcohol too, without feeling guilty about it. The problem is if you don't do that in the morning, you're low on protein, you're high on calories, that's gonna cross your mind come the time the thing that you actually want to just make the most of in the evening. Okay. So getting it done early in terms of a protein point of view, if you do want to make some progress, if you do want to hold the line with your muscle mass, that kind of thing, do it early. Don't leave it till the evening. All right. Have the thing you enjoy later on. The other kind of element of getting it done early that comes into play here for me is like the exercise and the movement front, right? Because a lot of the time, I'll give you an example. I had a lady who went on holiday recently, and we had a conversation before she went, and she was like, "Look, the people I'm going on holiday with just don't really match like the behaviors and the lifestyle that I live now because she's been through an amazing transformation." And she was like, I want to continue with this because it makes me feel good. Like, it makes me feel good when I train on holiday. It makes me feel good when I make some good decisions on holiday. Like, I don't want to feel sluggish. I don't want to feel heavy. I don't want to start feeling a bit fluffy, like on day two when I'm on the beach and stuff. So, like, how can I navigate this? Because I'm going to have to try and drag people that don't want to go for a walk. I'm going to have to try and persuade people to just wait for me while I go and do a gym session and that kind of thing. And you never want to feel like you're getting in the way of other people's holiday and how they enjoy their holiday. And look, everyone can enjoy their holiday the way they want, right? And that might not align with your behaviors and your habits and your goals. So, and that's okay. But getting it done early is your secret, right? Because yes, okay, we get up early in the week when you're at home, when you're working, that kind of thing. Does everyone want to get up early when they're on holiday? Probably not. Like, probably not. But it's something that I use all the time. And I will get up and I'll just do my workout early doors. One, it doesn't impact then on the people who are on holiday with me, right? And if that's what if you're worried about having to drag people for a walk or to the gym or get them to wait for you or being a bit of a burden to the other people you're on holiday with, just get up and get it done, right? You might not want to get up at 7 a.m. when you're on holiday. You might not want to get up at 8 a.m. when you're on holiday. But if you do, there's a net positive impact on that for you for the rest of the day. You don't feel like the burden. You don't feel guilty for it. You've got in what you wanted to do in terms of a workout. You've set yourself up lovely for the day, right? You're not going to be thinking about that workout at 3 p.m. when you've been sunning yourself and thinking, oh, the last thing I want to do now is go into that hot gym, right? So get that done early doors. The same with steps. Go out and get them done early. Make it part of your holiday routine. Get yourself a lovely coffee. Go for a stroll around like the town you're in or the beach you're in. Like, enjoy things when maybe they're a little bit quieter, when the sun's not quite as hot. Like, go out and make that part of your routine. And, you know, whether that's with your partner and the other people you're with don't come, or whether that's with some of the people you're with on holiday, or maybe it's something you do on your own because you just want some of your own company because you're going to be spending the rest of the day with other people. It doesn't really matter how you frame it, but you can see here that I'm building a bit of a picture that while I'm away, I just like to get things done early doors. Like, I'll get my workout done, get it boxed off. I don't have to think about it for the rest of the day. It's not looming over me. Same with steps. If I'm going to have a loungy day by the pool, and look, let me tell you now, you know, if my fiance has listened to this, she'll tell you, I do not sit still, right? I can't. And you'll see me on these podcasts doing this with my hands all the time. I don't sit still. So that's really not me, but I'm just putting myself in your shoes for a second or someone else's shoes for a second. That if you want to have a sun lounger day, cool. Just get your steps in early doors so you're not feeling guilty about laying around all day, right? Because you can do what you like. It's your holiday. So it's just using some of these simple tips. So to give you a bit of a recap in terms of the tips I will actually give you it's align your expectations with reality, right? Don't go on holiday saying you want to come back at maintenance or have even made some progress if you're not willing to display the behaviors and the habits of somebody who does that. So align your expectations with that reality. But to go alongside that, just because you go on holiday and decide that you want to have just complete relaxation, no training, no tracking, no thought of protein or calories in any way, shape, or form, don't feel guilty for that. That's cool. Go and do that for the 3-4 weeks a year that you go on holiday, if that, it's not going to affect things. You have 47, 48, 49, even 50 weeks of the year where you're not on holiday, and that is where your main progress is going to be made. But if you do decide that you want to make progress, or you want to at least hold the line when you're away, you want to change your identity, become the person who does that stuff while they're away, moves their body, exercises still, then obviously you're going to have to align your actions with that reality too. When it comes to the buffet, first plate theory, go in, have a high protein, low calorie first plate, then make your food decisions. Have whatever you want. But subconsciously, I guarantee you will make slightly different decisions than you would have done before. Getting it done early is a tactic I like to use, whether that's with exercise, with steps, or even just getting in my protein early doors, where I use like breakfast or lunch as high protein, low calorie, so that I can enjoy my evenings. And then finally, just picture what you want to get from your holiday, whether that is the sangria and the meal in the evening, or maybe it's some drinks in the afternoon, or whatever it is that you really care about and really want to enjoy about your holiday. Prioritize that. Don't feel guilty for that. Go and enjoy it. But maybe around that, you might need to make some other decisions, such as if you don't care about the hotel breakfast, you might want to make some other decisions that give you the flexibility and freedom to go and enjoy that without feeling guilty in any way, shape, or form, which you shouldn't. Cool. Well, look, hopefully those little tips have been useful. Hopefully, if you're going away soon, you can give some of these things a try. Let me know what you think. Like, are you one of those people who wants to move their body, wants to train, wants to keep moving forwards while they're on holiday? Or are you not? And there's no right or wrong. I'd just be interested to hear your thoughts on this. Like, what do you do? What do you want to, how do you want to approach your holidays? And look, as always, leave me a review. Let me know what you think. Give me a 5 stars, drop a comment. And in the meantime, I'll see you on the next one.